I, female, 29, have an 11-year-old calico named Daisy. A year ago, I moved a few hours further from home for work, which came with the issue of needing to find a new sitter. My fiancé, male, 34, and I were lucky to find somebody pretty quickly through a pet sitting app, but she ended up being unavailable during the week of our trip. This came up over dinner at my sister's house, and her daughter, my niece, suggested her cousin, brother-in-law's family, Ava, female, 18, saying she's been looking for some side jobs to make money before she goes off to college this fall. I contacted Ava, and she accepted the job. I invited Ava over a couple days early so she could meet Daisy and get acquainted with the space. The most important detail here is that I emphasized our main rule to not let Daisy out unleashed and unsupervised. I showed Ava the harness and leash I used to take Daisy on walks, explained the risks of letting her out unsupervised, and she seemed to understand. Fiancé and I left on our trip a couple days later thinking all was well. We finally got back yesterday, after a genuinely lovely week, and met Ava as she was finishing up with her last drop-in. During our reunion, I found scratches on Daisy. I asked Ava if she had any idea what happened. At first, Ava's story was that she didn't know, and then she admitted it might have happened when they went on a walk. I went to find the harness to see if there was any damage to it, but it was in the exact spot I left it in, along with the leash. I asked Ava point blank if she let Daisy out by herself, and she finally admitted yes, that Daisy wouldn't stop hounding her for food and treats, and that she was yowling so much during a drop-in when she was having a headache that she put her out for a little while she set up the food and cleaned the litter. She then forgot Daisy outside all night. She said she realized when she dropped back in the next morning for a feeding and a walk, and Daisy wasn't waiting just inside the door, that she remembered she'd put her out, so she tried shaking a bag of Daisy's favorite cat treats, which worked. She's a greedy little cat. I was furious at that point and asked Ava to leave. She asked what about the money, and I told her she wouldn't be getting paid. She got upset and said it wasn't fair to not pay her for an entire week over one mistake, but eventually left. She has texted me an apology since, but I've also received some texts from my brother-in-law, who is mostly taking her side in the issue and saying I should absolutely pay her, but that he would understand if I docked a day off. I told him I'll be putting my money towards a vet visit, which I have an appointment for tomorrow. Am I the idiot if I stand my ground here? Edit to clarify a few things. 1. Ava is not a family member of mine. She is my brother-in-law's niece, technically step-niece, as his sister is Ava's stepmother. I do not consider her a niece or cousin of mine. Family is not a factor here for me. I didn't know her at all, and admit I should have been more cautious about hiring her. Brother-in-law said she was a very good and responsible kid, and she had done some pet-sitting jobs before, so I thought everything would be fine. Won't be making that mistake again. 2. To those suggesting I still pay Ava, but dock the vet bills from her pay, if I do that, it will result in her owing me. I do not want to pursue legal action or try to get any money out of Ava. I have told her and brother-in-law this and expressed more than once that the best I will do is compromise and consider us square. I don't pay her. She doesn't pay any of Daisy's vet bills. 3. I know results for certain things won't be reliable so soon. I will be doing follow-up appointments for further testing and assessments. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Tell her you'll pay her whatever is left of her fee after the vet visit, provided your cat doesn't need anything due to her injuries. Daisy very easily could have been infected by FIV from a feral cat. That's the part that would terrify me. Quite frankly, she'd be lucky if you didn't sue her for the vet care if Daisy did contract a disease. Then OP replied, FIV is one of the big concerns right now. I've seen strays in the area here. Comment 2. Not the idiot at all. She's lucky your cat didn't get lost or worse. I'm currently dog sitting to help my friend out. As I'm not usually around dogs, he's given me a comprehensive list of do's and don'ts. You bet I'm following that list to the letter, because he knows his dog better than I do. Although we're getting on quite well. She even took me for a walk earlier. Then OP replied, I'm honestly so glad nothing worse happened. We live close to a busy road, and I've seen other strays in the area. I'm a little worried if she was attacked by a stray cat, which is what it looks like, that she could have contracted something. Comment 3. Info. Is the vet visit due to harm incurred from the unleashed walk? If so, then not the idiot for not paying. Normally, she would deserve to get paid for most or all of what she worked. But if she intentionally disregarded your clear instructions and that caused damage, then it's fair for the cost of the damage to be deducted from the pay. Then OP replied, "The vet visit is for the scratches I found on her. Yes, I want to make sure they aren't infected and that she didn't contract anything. I'm honestly not sure how Ava didn't notice them or if she just thought she could get away with it. They had dried blood stuck to them, and they were 2 to 3 inches in length. I've since cleaned the wound a bit with some water and a towel, and I gave her a churu tube. I wanted to take her to the vet immediately, but we got home quite late, so it had already closed. And when I called first thing this morning to ask about coming in, they said they had several appointments and that somebody had called out sick, but they would squeeze me in tomorrow." Comment 4. Not the idiot. Stand your ground. I've done some pet sitting in my time for both cats and dogs, and I can quite honestly say that if I fuck up as bad as that girl fuck up, then I would never be asked again. She threw the cat outside to fend for itself because the cat was fussing too much because it hadn't seen any human for hours. Some cats are very greedy and won't quiet until they've been fed. This girl was young, and she acted her age by showing her inexperience. I can imagine this girl's thoughts. Cats are cute. Cats are no trouble. This'll be easy money, only for the reality to bite her hard. Comment 5. This is tough, but I'm going to say, not the idiot. If she wants to be paid so badly, tell her sure, but it will have the vet bill subtracted from her pay. Your cat had scratches and was left out overnight? Yeah, once she realizes she'd most likely be out of pocket paying for all the blood work and labs Kitty probably needs now, then I have a feeling she'll take the L and consider this a lesson learned in being patient, following instructions. She could have put the cat in another room for the 60 seconds it took to fill her bowl, or locked herself in a room while she did so. What she did was reckless, selfish, and lazy. What would she have done if your cat hadn't made it back? She is extremely lucky things didn't end up worse. Now for the update. I have been incredibly busy with handling my job. Apparently 3 people were fired in my absence, and caring for Daisy since making my original post. But I've read many of the comments and understand that many people have questions and want an update. So I'm taking my first real free moment since coming back from my vacation to fill you all in on what's been happening. I took Daisy to the vet the day after making my original post due to the scratches I found on her. Like I mentioned in the comments, they were 2 to 3 inches in length and had dried blood on them. The vet's opinion was that they were decently deep and likely infected, which was later confirmed, and Daisy was prescribed meds to deal with that. She's much better now and seems to be back to near perfect health, but there will be subsequent visits to determine if she has any other issues, such as FIV, which can't be accurately tested for so soon. My vet was kind enough to give me a quote for the future visits I have scheduled, which I presented along with the bill from this visit to Ava and her parents, who ended up getting involved as well, but were much less aggressive than Ava or brother-in-law. The current bill by itself exceeds what we had agreed to pay Ava. Ava tried to push back more, which I ignored, and then her parents reached out to me. The 4 of us, me, Ava, her mom, and her dad, met up, and Ava's parents immediately brought up small claims court and asked that I please not drag them and their daughter through the system over a vet bill. Just to be clear, I never threatened to do so. The only time court came up was when brother-in-law brought it up to me, and I'm assuming Ava as well, and I insisted that I didn't want to make this a legal matter. I told Ava's parents the same, that I was not seeking legal action and was happy to consider us square. The only other thing I wanted was for Ava to apologize for endangering Daisy. She didn't seem happy, but she said sorry, and that was that. I'm glad my cat is safe and healthy, and I'm glad the drama is over. Safe to say I won't be planning any more trips away until my regular sitter is available again. There are a few other questions I noticed in the comments that I'd like to answer. They will be in a comment I post below. Thank you to everyone for your feedback and your support. Now for a few comments. This first one is from OP. Got busy with dinner, but here are those questions and answers I mentioned. Thank you all again. 1. Why wasn't your usual cat sitter available? Did she not like Daisy? Did she cancel? Lana, our usual sitter, is currently dealing with a personal loss. She let us know about it when we reached out, and that she would not be available for a few months as she got her affairs in order and traveled to attend the funeral. She loves Daisy and has told us many times she enjoys caring for her. She even crocheted Daisy a Santa hat for Christmas, and we took photos of her in it for Christmas cards. 2. Is Daisy poorly trained, very loud, very needy, a nuisance? Does she wait by the door or try to run outside? No. On occasion, if she isn't preoccupied, she may follow me to the door to say goodbye, or if she's expecting a walk, we go out during a specific time of day, but she doesn't wait by the door when we're going in or out trying to run for it, and we've never had issue with her trying to slip out. She knows she's an indoor kitty. I have also never had a sitter tell me they've had an issue with Daisy around feeding times. Sometimes she will meow quietly as I'm preparing her bowl or getting treats, but she is not loud and obnoxious. 3. Why don't you want Daisy going outside? I do want her to go outside, but only when leashed and supervised for the safety of her and the environment around us. Outdoor cats are more likely to be killed by predators, harmed, infected by other animals, or hit by cars. They pose a major threat to local bird populations. They could wander into a neighbor's yard and eat toxic plants. The list goes on. I love Daisy very much. I care about her health and safety, so she is an indoor cat, but I also want her to be able to safely experience the outdoors. Leashed walks are the only solution at the moment until fiancé and I can get a catio built. 4. Is Daisy spayed? Are her shots up to date? Yes and yes. But even with up-to-date shots, she can still potentially contract something. Comment 2. Glad you got it sorted. Personally, if it was my cats, I would have gotten them to pay the vet bills, all of it, and taken them to court. Clearly, she has no remorse and didn't care for the well-being of the cat and was more concerned with making some easy money, and should have been taught a lesson on the consequences of her actions, ramifications. Hope your cat is back to 100% health soon. Comment 3. I'm so glad Daisy seems to be okay. Please give her a cuddle for this random Redditor. I would cry if my indoor cat Honey got out. She's been an indoor cat since she was a kitten, so she really doesn't have the necessary skills to survive outdoors. Also glad that Ava's parents at least have enough sense to understand that you're cutting her a good deal by not going after her for the vet bills. Still wish she'd face more consequences for her negligence, but it's something at least. Comment 4. Not the idiot. You won't know if your cat is safe until she's tested for FIV, which is spread through cat fights. Also, she could have picked up toxoplasmosis. I'm happy Daisy survived the night. She wouldn't where I live, near coyotes. The gall of Anna expecting to get paid is astonishing. Ask your brother-in-law if daycare left his kid outside overnight. Would he pay them? Would he only dock one day while he had his kid tested for bloodborne pathogens from the fight she endured with the homeless? A cat is not a child, but hopefully this analogy will get them to realize what she has done. Comment 5. Just read your original post and can't think of a worse example of you only had one job. How can you forget to check the cat is safe when the purpose of the visit is to check the cat is safe? Also, the idea of asking to be paid for days she didn't completely forget about the cat while coming to tend to the cat reminds me of the joke. Well, besides that, Mrs. Lincoln, what did you think of the play? Now for the next post. So my younger sister, Katie, female, 28, and her partner, Chris, male, 29, are getting married in April in Dubai. She has always wanted an extravagant wedding and is going all out on this. So the wedding is happening over 4 days. There's 70 guests, but they want us, me, my husband, and parents, to stay in the same hotel with them, along with her bridesmaids, which I am MOH, and groomsmen. The hotel is pretty luxe, so with flights is costing us just over £2,900 each. Chris's family are also staying in the hotel, which includes his parents, 2 brothers, and his nephew. They are well off. I don't know exactly how much they earn combined, but I know Katie is on $88K and she is the lower earner. But about 6 months ago, Chris and Katie came to us and asked to borrow $17K more. They stressed it would be a loan paid over time and said the venue had increased the price. Dubai law was different, blah blah blah. They paid this money or they lost the lot. We believe them. And I offered to loan $7K and my parents the other $10K. So long story short, I have since found out through someone else that the $17K wasn't for the venue. It was for Chris's family to fly over there. They saw how much it was going to be, didn't want to pay, and refused to go. I asked Katie, and she confirmed. So my first question was, if they were paying for his parents, why not pay for ours? I would never expect them to pay for me. Even if we couldn't afford it, I'd have wished them well and stayed at home. And her answer was, because they can afford it. She got very defensive and said this was the fairest way she could think of doing it. It's hard enough planning a wedding, etc. But when I asked if you genuinely thought this was the fairest way to do it, why did you lie about what the $17K was for and say it was a venue issue? She couldn't answer. My parents are aware and are very disappointed they lied, but have said they're still attending. But I have backed out. To me, it feels like my parents are being taken advantage of, and if they couldn't afford to pay for both our and Chris's parents and his brothers and nephew, then they shouldn't have just paid for the 4 parents or no one at all. And they especially shouldn't have lied about it. Katie and Chris keep calling and asking me to attend, saying I'm making them feel bad and ruining their day. But the whole thing just feels icky to me. I'm genuinely an open book, so be brutal. Am I being an idiot here? Should I just suck it up and go? Am I the idiot? Edit. Just wanted to answer a couple of questions/comments that have come up a lot. 1. The repayment. My husband's brother is a solicitor, and he kindly drew up a contract and repayment plan for both myself and my parents, so the money will be paid off within 12 months of the wedding. If they don't stick to this, I have access to a free solicitor. Haha. I hope it wouldn't come to that, but that's why I have the papers for worst case scenario. 2. Asking for the $7K back. I might be a soft touch, but asking for this back feels like a step too far. Like I'm mad as hell, but not enough to actively try to ruin their wedding a few weeks before, which it feels like, right now at least, is what that would be doing. But hey, give me a few more days to stew. Edit 2. Thanks again for all the feedback, everyone. Just another quick FYI. A few people have asked about Chris's family, or seem to have the impression they're well off. I'm obviously not privy to their financial situation, but what the limited amount I do know from what Katie has said, Chris and his family grew up very poor. Before all this, I'd always thought Chris was a lovely guy, but I had caught him in the odd but harmless white lie. Things like where he went to school, the type of house he grew up in, etc. I get the impression he is embarrassed or resentful of his upbringing, given their lack of money, and this is how he now values his own self-worth, by how much money he has. My guess is, when his family said they couldn't go, he panicked and worried people would ask why they weren't there, and he would either have to say they couldn't afford it or he couldn't afford to pay for them. And look, his past trauma experience is not for me to judge, but if that were the case, it just makes me more mad that they both didn't plan ahead and talk to friends, family about what they could afford before booking Dubai. If it was such a deal breaker for his family to be there, they should have factored in the cost of paying for all parents to attend instead of thrusting a $3K per person bill at them and expecting them to rock up. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Yet one of the many reasons I dislike destination weddings, they're the penultimate egocentric events. Then OP replied, haha, I totally get this. We had a destination wedding in Italy as well. However, before we booked it, we did rough price checks in terms of how much it would cost everyone before we booked. It actually ended up being cheaper than a lot of places in the UK, but also made a list of what we could afford to pay for and who our non-negotiable were, in terms of if there were certain people who couldn't make it/afford it, then we just booked somewhere in the UK. It worked out in the end. We had 15 people and we paid for everyone's hotel room, and the flights were about £240 each, so we counted that as everyone's gift. To us, as we figured after travel, gifts, etc., it probably wasn't far off what people would pay to attend a local wedding. But I didn't expect Katie to do the same, as I knew she was having 70 people, and at the end of the day, it's her wedding. Comment 2. Wait a second. Not only are they not paying for your parents, they're having your parents pay for his? That's like a double whammy. I don't know if you should go or not. Your choice will have a long-lasting impact on your relationship with your sister. Only you can decide if that is worth salvaging. Then OP replied, I don't want to lose my sister over this, and I don't want to be that person who says it's the principle of the situation. But honestly, it really is. Comment 3. Please tell us you got that $7K loan in writing. You know they're going to claim it was a gift, especially after you saved so much money by not attending. Then OP replied, oh yeah, defo. As I said to someone else, my brother-in-law is a solicitor and he helped me draw up a contract. I'm not playing about with that amount of money. Comment 4. Not the idiot. Most rich people stay rich because they know how to get things for free. Comment 5. Not the idiot. She effectively stole from you. Now for the update. I had a lot of messages at the time of posting asking for an update on what I decided to do, so wanted to check in. So in short, I didn't end up going to the wedding. Katie and Chris basically harassed me constantly until a few days before they were due to fly out. I received a belligerent voicemail from Katie saying if I didn't go, I wasn't her sister anymore. I was embarrassing myself and her and Chris. I was a horrible person. And most shockingly, if I didn't go, then her and Chris wouldn't be paying me or my parents back for the money we loaned. So trying to blackmail me. She would say it was a gift. I faked the contract and I would have to take her to court. She was clearly drunk at the time. The voicemail was left on the night she was having her at-home hen do, which I also obviously didn't attend, but it was so beyond anything I thought she was capable of. I ended up sharing it with my parents, and they also reluctantly pulled out of attending. I heard through friends and family in attendance at the wedding after her and Chris were telling everyone I had alienated her from her family and told lies to our parents. We gifted money and expected them to pay for us, etc. And they made the decision to uninvite myself and my husband. Other, more insulting things were said that I don't particularly want to go into. Suffice to say, they were very hurtful. As I mentioned in my post, I had my brother-in-law, solicitor, draw up a contract for repayment for both myself and my parents. What was supposed to be the first repayment date passed without word from either of them, so brother-in-law picked up from there. His attempts to reach them were ignored, apart from one email from what I think was a fake law firm, outlining the money was gifted. The contract was fraudulent, and to take them to court, basically. In response to that, brother-in-law sent a copy of the voicemail Katie left, and a final demand outlining the payment plan was now null and void, and we wanted the money in full within 30 days, or we would indeed be going to court. Magically, the full amount appeared in our accounts 5 days later. Again, I've heard on the grapevine since the wedding, they have been telling anyone who would listen, we asked for our gift back out of the blue and disowned them, and how much of a difficult financial position they are in because of this. So that's that. I can't see myself having a relationship with her after this, which is devastating. But at the same time, I truly believe now, after everything, that that isn't my fault. Thanks again to everyone who gave advice. I hope this update is enough for everyone who asked for one. Now for a few comments. I'm a petty person. I would upload her message to all social media sites and tag her in them so people can hear, in her own words, how she was going to lie about all of that. You were not the idiot then, and you are still not the idiot. Then OP replied, everyone who has let me know what they've said has had my back and called her out on her lies without my needing to fill them in on the situation. She's doing enough damage on her own. At this point, I think the best thing I can do is let them dig their own grave and stay silent. Comment 2. I'm sure this marriage will last forever. Then OP replied, we'll see. Comment 3. I think the worst part of this whole story is that if Katie had just been straight up and said, hey, we really want this for our wedding. His parents can't afford it. We're willing to pay so they can attend. We just don't have the cash on hand with all the other wedding expenses. Can you loan us money and we'll pay it back after the wedding? OP sounds like they would have been cool with it. Not the idiot. Then OP replied, honestly, if she would have asked me in the beginning, I would have said yes to the loan provided they paid for our parents as well as Chris's. Part of the reason we got into this mess is because I thought she was taking advantage of our parents because, as she put it, they could afford it. Comment 4. Is wedding in Dubai really worth ruining relationship with your family? I doubt it. She will want help, favors, etc. from you in the future. Life doesn't end with the wedding festivities. Comment 5. I'm glad financially that worked out. Hope things are less stressful for you regardless. If you made it to the end of the video, comment what city you're watching from. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and have a great day.